And okay, and we're going to get started. Hi, Emily. So thank you so much for coming on and talking with me. How are you doing?
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the work that you do in the world. I think it's really important.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So really quick introduction. I'm going to give my introduction of what I know about you, and then of course just add in, but okay. So just, you know, general, because I'm not going to get personal with this yet, but just general. So Emily Fletcher started Ziva Meditation. She has a studio in New York City. She does live trainings in New York City, but of course she has this worldly kind of following with her online program. And she was originally a Broadway star, which is so much fun. And of course, dealing with her own anxiety of being on Broadway, reaching her goals, and the stress of kind of being the understudy to 5 different characters at once, and all that kind of, she realized something was broken. She went into meditation, and of course that became her life calling. So we are so honored to have her talk to us because she couldn't be busier. One, because of her amazing, of course, business, but she just wrote a book and she just had a baby. She helps Navy SEALs, Tony Award winners, Emmy Award winners, right? What were they? I have Oscar, Tony, Grammy, Emmy, yeah. Professional athletes, Navy SEAls, so cool. Fortune 500 CEOs, full-time moms, and busy entrepreneurs. So that's I mean, it's just, she's the best of the best. And, you know, she's been featured on, I mean, you can find her on like a bazillion, you know, local or news stuff podcasts. I hear her on so many podcasts. And of course does TED Talks and conferences around the world. So she's the shit. All right. She's the real deal. She's the shit. She's not fucking around. That's all we need to know.
That's all we need to know. Just Emily Fletcher, not fucking around.
Not fucking around. So is there anything else you want to add to that?
Well, just that I would say the thing I'm most proud of is that I've actually taught 15,000 people to meditate. We just did the math because we're doing the promo for the book. And I like almost teared up when I realized that, because, and I don't mean just like 15,000 people I've done a guided visualization with. I mean, I have given 15,000 people the tools to meditate on their own without me, who now have a daily practice. And that is the thing I'm most proud of in my life so far. And then the fertility thing has been recent. And I don't know if that's because I'm a woman, because I'm almost 40, because I just had a baby, but it's been coming up really big. The fertility, the pregnancy, like just how do we help women move through this journey, which is so complex and so emotionally charged. So I'm really, really thrilled to be here today. Okay, good.
And let's go ahead, dive in. I don't know if we should start with, well, I'm going to get to, because I did your program. I don't know if you know that, but because I didn't tell anybody, you know, I didn't call Sherry up and ask for it for free to try it out for my clients. Like when I am learning, when I am investing in the program, I do it as I want people to experience it. So I didn't tell anybody, and I signed up for the online program. And the greatest thing about it, I mean, so many great things about it, but the way I describe it to my clients is it's kid friendly. Like you don't, first of all, I was not meditating before. I was doing mindfulness exercise. And I think so many people think they're meditating, but it's actually mindful. Yes. And this exercise, which is great, but as you call it, it's like the appetizer, the meditation is the dinner. But what's cool is your way to meditate the correct way, okay? Real meditation isn't about turning off your thoughts and brains. Like you say, if you do that, you're dead. And what I loved about that was when I say it's kid friendly, it's because my mind and so many of my clients were all these crazy high achievers that just like go, 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 go. My mind, I often find myself in a meditation, like to-do list. And you really, in these short 15-minute sections, show us, don't worry. Like it's okay if your to-do list comes into your meditation, you're still getting the benefits if you bring it out of it properly, you know, nicely to yourself. So I loved it. And then I also love that you have so many cool, you know, because I was a teacher for many years. I taught biology and chemistry, and I love that you have so many analogies with like how to think about, to do things. So everything about your program, I loved. It was easy. It did not take up a lot of time. You know, yeah, it did not take up a lot of time. And we'll get into this more, but I've really noticed like the difference. And I did it. I just want you to know, I did it not just for my clients, though I'm always learning for my clients, but I did it because I realized something was broken. You know, I am addicted to stress. That's how my body naturally functions. And that's not okay. And the more that you're educated about it, you know it's not okay. So I have noticed a difference. I've noticed, as you call it, the meditation leading into my life leading into my meditation. It's subtle, but it's so powerful. So I cannot stress enough how amazing this online course was. That and just this will be a part of my life forever. And it's so easy to do because you make it easy. Nobody else that I've learned from makes it easy. So thank you. Okay, and we'll get more into your program later. But let's just start with, from your point of view, why should everybody meditate? And of course, we're going to really laser focus it into the fertility community, but why should everybody meditate?
Well, basically because stress makes you stupid, sick, and slow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty simple. Like we think that, and because like you said, most of us are addicted to our stress. And I think, because I'm addicted to my stress too. Like I have a big sign on my wall at Ziva that says, stop the glorification of busy. And I'm mostly telling that to myself because I think we all, for some reason or another, get validated by our busyness. We get validated by our stress. It makes us feel important. I feel like sometimes when you're trying to make plans with someone, you're like, well, I can't do this because I have these 8 things to do. And like, well, I can't do it because I have these 15 things to do. And you're trying to out busy each other to see who will actually acquiesce to the other person's schedule. I think that's actually what we're doing when we say how busy we are. It's like, well, I'm busier than you, so you need to come to me because I don't want to travel to you or come on your schedule. But this is so ridiculous because we're basically like wearing this toxicity as a badge of armor, because stress at the end of the day makes your body toxic. It makes it acidic. When we're stressed, the body floods with adrenaline and cortisol, which makes your body acidic, which is not a good host for a baby. It's not a good breeding ground for fertility. And conversely, when we start meditating, not only do we get rid of that adrenaline and cortisol, but we start to flood the brain and body with dopamine and serotonin, which are alkaline in nature. And an alkalized body is a much more hospitable host for a baby, but lots of other things too: health, immune function, sleep, reversing your body age. And the thing that we're really all about at Ziva is performance. Like we are meditation for better performance, because I believe that we meditate to get good at life, not to get good at meditation. Sadly, no one cares if you're a good meditator, which sucks for me because I'm very competitive and I would really love to be a meditator in the land, but nobody cares. But everyone cares if you're good at life. You know, how kind are you? How compassionate are you? How present are you? How fun are you? How good is your sleep? How often you get sick? Everybody cares about these things. And these are the things that stress impacts in a very intense and detrimental way.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I really hope people take to heart what I said about, I realized something was broken. And I think that's the first key, is something's not working here, you know, and I want to be better and I want to make a change. And everybody talks about meditation, but really, and this was my view, this is basically everybody I talk to you, is it's so hard and impossible. I can't sit there and not think, like, and that's why I love what you do, because you get that, and you're like, of course you're gonna think, and this is what you do about it.
I think the thing I'd like to elaborate on that, because this might be news to a lot of folks hearing this for the first time, but most people think that in order to meditate, you have to clear your mind. There's like this one dude out there telling everyone that you have to clear your mind. And you guys, we got to find him. We got to teach him how to meditate, because he's robbing people of potentially a lifetime of bliss and fulfillment, because they're judging themselves based on misinformation. So the really good news around this is that the mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. So trying to give your brain a command to shut up is as impactful, as effective as trying to give your heart a command to stop beating. And just to be a little pedantic and silly, like on the count of 3, I want everyone to try and give their hearts a command to stop beating. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Doesn't work, right? Hopefully you're still alive. Hopefully your heart is still beating. We can't
check, because I'm pretty powerful. No.
Yeah, you're good. So it's but yeah, we do this when we sit down to meditate. We're like, all right, brain, shut up. And they're like, sure would like some snacks. Snacks are delicious. Why am I thinking about snacks? I suck at meditation. I quit. And that's the beginning and the end of a lot of people's meditation career. It's also why people say I like guided meditation better. I can't just do it on my own. That just because you haven't been taught yet. You don't have the skill yet, which doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. You didn't miss a day of school. Most of us have not been taught, but because we don't think about meditation like a skill, we think we should already magically know how to do it. But just like learning a language or a tap dance or gymnastics, like you have to eventually learn. And once you learn, once you have a tool that's designed for you, and once you have some training, it's ridiculously simple. But where we get confused is that we confuse simplicity for weakness. But the power in Ziva actually comes from the simplicity. It's because it is simple, it's easy and enjoyable, and then you actually commit to it. You don't feel like you're failing, and then you start to get the ripple effect of less stress in your body.
Yeah, I love that. And so let's dive into fertility. Mm-hmm. So why would it be even more important? Because I do think that everybody should meditate. And you did this whole thing about world peace and meditation, which isn't an exaggeration. It anyway, it was great. And I love that. But especially when you're trying to conceive or even pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
why is it so important to introduce meditation into your life?
Yeah. So the more scientific answer is what I was alluding to before, is that when you're stressed, your body is basically preparing for a predatory attack. That's what human stress is. You're preparing your body for a saber-toothed tiger to come and kill you. And so the series of chemical reactions that happen in the body is that first your digestion floods with acid to shut down digestion, because we need all hands on deck to fight or flee the tiger. That same acid seeps onto your skin, so that if you get bitten into by that tiger, you don't taste very good. Your blood starts to thicken and coagulate, so that if you do get bitten into, you don't bleed to death. Your bladder and bowels evacuate. Your immune system goes to the back burner, and that adrenaline and cortisol comes to the rescue. So this series of chemical reactions is very useful, very good for you if your demands are predatory attacks. But if your demands are bosses, deadlines, emails, in-laws, traveling, then this fight or flight stress reaction has become maladaptive. It is now disallowing us from performing at the top of our game. And over time, that acidity can lead to chronic stress, chronic ailments, anything from endometriosis, autoimmune issues. And one of those things is also infertility, because it's like chronic acidity. And so what we do when we start meditating is that we go in and day by day, bit by bit, sitting by sitting, and you do have to do it regularly. It's not like one meditation is going to magically cure it. It's just like the coffee you drank 3 weeks ago isn't going to help you today. No, you have to drink it again today. You have to meditate again today. You have to do it every day. But each day you're not only getting rid of that acidity, but you're building up the alkalinity. And a more alkaline body is a much more hospitable host for a baby, for fertility. So that's it on a more scientific tip. But if we want to go a little bit more spiritual, when we're meditating, we're actually connecting to the piece of us that is connected to everyone and everything. Like most of us, if we don't have a regular meditation practice, or if we're not on drugs all the time, most of us only have access to our left brain. And our left brain is in charge of individuality. It's like, I'm you, I'm me, and you're you, and we're separate. It's like we're all these separate waves on this giant ocean of consciousness. And what we do, especially at Ziva, is that you're given something called a mantra. And a mantra is not a slogan. It's not an affirmation. These are mind vehicles. That's what the word mantra means. Man means mind, tra means vehicle. And so you're given a mantra, a mind vehicle to go in and help you start to access your right brain. And it's almost like it takes that little wave on the ocean and it reminds the wave that it is actually the ocean. It reminds your individuality that you're actually a part of something bigger. And if you do that every day, twice a day, it becomes easier to start to connect to your higher self, your intuition. And I know that you talk about this with your folks sometimes, but I love the idea of after your meditation, when you access that source energy, when you're very connected to all that is, actually having a conversation with your baby from that space and asking your baby, hey, just having a conversation. I'm ready when you are. I love you. I trust you. I trust your timing. You let me know when you're ready. And perhaps, and for people who are single, you show me who you want your parent to be, your father or your co-parent. You direct me, because they're still in that pure energy. They're still in that totality. And so I find that if you have a daily meditation practice, it's just so much easier to connect to the baby's spirit.
Yeah, I just got the chills, and I'm not trying to get pregnant. So I want to hear from the women on the group, like who just also got the chills, because I love that. And yes, I do say, and anybody who works with me know, everything I do is based on science. And then there's just things that work. and one of the things is to understand, and this, there is a science behind this, but it's not just up to you to get pregnant. There is that baby. Unfortunately, our children have a say in everything. And who they are, how they show up, when they show up, of course. So I do think it is so important to, one, be open to listening to the messages coming in to your children, that are considering if it's the right time or not. They're there, they're gonna come. You get to decide if you're a mom or not. I always say we get to decide. It's not up to anybody else, but they also get to decide when they show up. And the one other thing about meditation, which you taught me, was how, you know, I do a whole decluttering process in my program, and meditation has now become a big part of that. And of course, now that I know how to do it properly, I want everyone to learn how to do it properly. but in that, you know, isn't it the saying, and I don't know if it's yours or whose or where I learned it, but the saying is, if like praying or like sending things out to the universe, whatever you believe in, is asking, you know, the meditation is listening. Mm-hmm. When you're able to meditate and declutter all the stuff from your past, layer by layer by layer, because it's been accumulated on me for 43 years, you know, then it's okay. As the stuff now there's space for other stuff to come in. Well, what's going to come in? Is it the baby? Is there a message that I need to know? So is there anything else you want to yeah.
Couple of things here. One, I call myself a recovering control freak. And I think that meditation is the only reason I'm in recovery, because, you know, it's so tempting to want to think that we can control our lives. You know, we just love our illusion of control. I feel like we are like those little kids in the grocery store with the toy cars on the front of the shopping cart. And like, you know, we think we're driving our lives. And meanwhile, you know, like nature is like pushing the shopping cart and is like, look how cute that human thinks they're driving their lives. But the reality is like, we're not in charge. We have a say, but we're not in charge. And I find that meditation allows that conversation. Like you said, prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening. And if you don't have a two-way conversation, that, like, nobody likes a partner that doesn't listen. No, you know, we've all had the relationship where the person talks and talks and talks, but doesn't ask you any questions or ever listen. It's not nice. Well, same with God. You know, like God wants to be listened to too. Nature wants to say things too. And I find that meditation just helps us to receive. And what I have found is also to surrender. And like you said, like decluttering and getting rid of that stress, what's happening there is that you're actually like turning down the volume on your left brain, which is your critical mind, and turning up the volume on your right brain, which is in your intuitive mind. And so what I find is that it's very hard to hear inspiration. It's really hard to hear whispers from your potential baby if your left brain is like, I suck, I suck, I suck, I'm gonna die alone with cats eating my face. Like that's a very loud thing to override. And most of us, because our left brain is so overdeveloped, we can't hear the little whispers of our right brain. And what meditation does is that it takes that right brain to the gym so that we actually start to function as 50-50. And if you look at a human brain, it is 50-50, 50% left brain, 50% right. And I don't think that nature makes mistakes. I think that it's given us 50-50 for a reason. And so that's what the meditation does. It starts to allow the entire brain to light up. You start to increase neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to change itself. And you actually strengthen something called the corpus callosum, which is the thin white strip in between the two hemispheres of the brain. And the thicker that piece is, the easier it is for you to hear those downloads, those creative ideas. And my analogy for this is that your right brain, like if you think about nature or creativity or God or collective consciousness or whatever you want to call it, if you think about that as like the Wi-Fi network, your right brain is your router. Like your Wi-Fi, or your right brain is the thing that allows you to get onto Wi-Fi. It is the place where we are downloading our ideas. It is the place where we are receiving. And most of us, because we've been taking that left brain to the gym for so long, we've forgotten how to surrender. We've forgotten how to listen. We've forgotten how to receive. And actually receiving is a very feminine energy. Masculine is more giving. Feminine is more receiving. And I find that because we have, like it or not, been living in a patriarchy for many thousands of years, I think that as women have started to come into power, we've adopted a lot of masculine and patriarchal roles because that's what we have associated with power. And so what's happening right now is that there very much is this rising of this feminine energy. And this isn't a gender conversation. This is not male, female. I'm talking masculine, feminine, which we all have. And so what's happening right now is this celebration of and this rising of the feminine energy, which is ultimately receptivity. And so I think that a lot of us, especially, you know, around 40, 50 years old, we've had to, and I think this is, I'm only delineating age now because I think that more millennial women and women in their 20s they have a different paradigm of power. Like it is a more feminine paradigm. So they're not having to adopt traits that aren't necessarily their own. And a lot of the women that I've worked with to like make their fertility journey a little bit easier is actually just introducing this concept of the feminine and receptivity and surrender and flow, which has not been synonymous with, well, I'm going to get what I want. We approach fertility from our masculine paradigm of achieving. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on January, and I'm going to do everything I can in order to get pregnant. It's like, that's no. We have to actually receive. We have to soften, and so it's just introducing these concepts of masculinity and femininity.
I love it. And so, and surrendering and the control aspect of it, we talk about a lot, of course, with what I do. So I love the idea of it's just not, it's something that you need to build. And that has to do with the right brain being as equal as possible with the left brain. And that's where meditation come in and to help you build that. I love that. Okay. This is more for me than anyone else. No, I'm kidding. You mentioned how meditation like makes your sex life better. So for all of us who have been through a fertility journey, a prolonged fertility journey, sex is the least sexy thing on the planet. Like I did a whole blog about the worst sex of my life. And of course it was when trying to conceive. It was horrendous. It was, anyway, love you, babe. But you know, so talk to me about that. How is meditation helping our sex life? Because I'm going to tell you something, you're not going to want to hear this. Like after your class, I was, having sex and I was thinking about you.
That's a first. This is
because I was like, not you, like in like, joining anyway. No, not that. More like, she mentioned, so like, this is a little different now that I'm meditating, but like, why? Am I supposed to be saying my mantra right now? No, that'd be weird because, so anyway, tell me, how is meditation helping our sex lives? And why do I think it is helping my sex life?
Amazing. Okay, so a couple of things. Well, first, I've had some folks report, like the reason I even started talking about meditation and sex is just because my students kept coming to me and being like, Emily, like you joked about better sex at the intro talk, but this is crazy. Like I'm feeling like animalistic things and I feel like I shouldn't be thinking at all during meditation, but yet I'm having these sexual fantasies and my meditations are sort of sexual. And I think because we've equated meditation with monastic practices, we think that anything around sex is wrong or bad, or we equate it to like church. And so we judge ourselves, but actually meditation is opening up all these different energetic meridians in the body, and the biggest one being up and down the spine. And our creative energy is the same thing as our sexual energy, and that lives in the base of our spine, that lives like in our pelvis. And so when we start meditating, we start opening up these energetic meridians, it starts flowing, it starts opening up, unblocking old blockages. And so things are just going to start to flow and wake up quite innocently and quite spontaneously. Also, I wanted to share that I've had a couple people say that they've orgasmed for the first time in their whole lives after taking the course because they had so much stress that actually the stress does two things. For men, if you have too much cortisol, it can dampen erections. Like you're not able to have an erection if you have too much cortisol. And similarly with women, if you have too much cortisol, it becomes incapable to orgasm. And so, it makes sense because it's that adrenaline and cortisol are in your body to protect you from a saber-toothed tiger. So if you're actually being threatened, if your body is in danger, procreation is the last thing that nature is interested in, right? Like nature is more interested in keeping this body alive, forget about creating a new body. And so we have to get the body out of fight or flight if we want to start to deal with things like procreation and certainly pleasure. So that's thing one. The other thing is that like one of the biggest excuses that people have for not having sex is that they're too tired. And so because the meditation that I teach is giving your body rest that's somewhere between 2 to 5 times deeper than sleep, and you do your second meditation somewhere mid-afternoon where you would have had the coffee or the chocolate or the nap, you do the meditation, it only takes 15 minutes, and then you have this hit of energy and productivity and creativity on the other side. So the idea there is that you'd have more energy for sex later on instead of being so exhausted. The other thing is like the classic excuse is not tonight, honey, I have a headache. And we have a crazy like 90% success rate with migraines at Ziva. And that's if they're stress induced. So That was the other thing. Oh, and then the sort of I don't know if it's hippy dippy, but it's just a little bit new, is the idea of mirror neurons. So mirror neurons, here's the Broadway showgirls description of mirror neurons. It's like if my brain had boomerangs and your brain had boomerangs, and they go out and they dance with each other and then they report back. And so when you start meditating, your mirror neural activity increases. So you're able to be more empathetic, you're able to be more sympathetic, more in sync with your partner. And mirror neurons are the reason why you can receive pleasure from watching someone else get pleasure, or you can feel pain by watching someone else feel pain. And so it's why porn is a multi-billion-dollar industry, because it's like, well, we get pleasure from watching someone else get pleasure. So the way that plays into your sex life is that you actually become a more generous and intuitive lover. It's like you start to know what your partner wants before they even want it. The more you're giving pleasure, the more you're receiving pleasure. So you become more generous, and it becomes an upward spiral versus, well, what have you done for me lately? Come on, honey, like I have to go. I'm on a rush. Like I'm ovulating yesterday. Like let's go. So yes, so those are that. Oh, and then one other thing I want to share, and this is actually a chapter from my book, which P.S. my book comes out February 19th. It's called Stress Less, Accomplish More. I'm super excited about it. And there's a chapter in the book that's all about better sex. And actually there's another chapter about reversing body age. And the example that I use in that chapter is a woman who I was working with who was 41 at the time, and she wanted to have a second child, and she was going to doctors, and she was trying to do IVF, but the doctors wouldn't even start the IVF process because her numbers, they didn't feel like the numbers warranted it, and they basically just said no. And so she came to me, she started meditating, and 2 years later, so she was now 43 years old, she said, you know, I just want to try, I just want to go back and see what's up. She got tested again. Her numbers had the fertility of an 18-year-old. And she actually sent me her numbers. I published it in the book. And I mean, this is not my area of expertise, so I could send them to you if you want to see them, but I wouldn't know how to interpret them really. But I just thought that was so fascinating that she was 2 years older, but because she had been meditating and reversing her body age, she actually had like reversed her fertility numbers, which I think is really awesome. And the other thing I want to just throw out here, and you might already talk about this, is that my husband is, he's into data science and statistics and predictive analytics. And he got very angry when he started looking into the research around fertility, because there's so much that equates maternal age with fertility. And when he started digging deeper into it, he said, this is crap science. He said, they're conflating maternal age with maternal health. And because most people's health declines as their age increases, we've conflated these two things, but it's not actually true. Like if your health is improving and getting better, then it's not really an indicator of your fertility. And so what I have found is that meditation is such a fundamental piece of your health that if you're taking care of that, then you can start to, like all other areas of your life can start to become more healthy as well. Like you become more conscious of what you're eating. You're not drinking as much. You don't need as much coffee. You become more sensitive to sugar. So just by doing this one piece of getting rid of stress in your body, all the other health choices become like intuitive and enjoyable versus a chore.
I love that. That is so cool. And so I just, you know, just to wrap it up, because I know you have to go, and we didn't bring this up, but the other thing that I love about your program is because I have a very chaotic household, is when you say, like, if there's noise, if there's people walking in, it's still okay. Like you meditate on subways. You actually have this Instagram, right, where people post where they're meditating in public, like public displays of meditation. I love that. So the key is, you know, there are all these benefits and more to everybody, especially if you're trying to conceive, to put your body into the most, what I do, the holistic approach to most naturally balancing your hormones, reducing inflammation, and of course, reducing acidity. Your program is 15 days, right? And each video is maybe 20, maybe the longest one was 30 minutes, which of course, I loved. I believe it's around $400.
Yeah, $399.
$399, okay. And it's beyond worth every penny, because this investment is in your self-care and your livelihood and your life. So I do not refer things ever. as you know, like anybody who follows me knows that maybe there was one book and now you, like that's it. Because I'm very, very particular. But I highly, highly recommend that anybody, like anybody, your husband and you, do this program. But especially if you're going through your fertility journey. And if you know me, you are. And I have my own affiliate link. And I just ask, use that link, because I donate any kind of payments that I get from recommendations to Resolve, our National Infertility Association.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. Well, I think it's messy for me to like, recommend stuff and take money, because then it's like, I'm like everybody else where it's like, pay me, and So yeah, so I donate any kind of referral fees. So please use my link, all of you. I'll have it, of course, in the bio. And then Emily, when your book comes out, you need to let us know.
Yeah, so it's February 19th, and you can even pre-order it on Amazon right now.
Oh, amazing. Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, it's
all right.
Let's accomplish more.
Yes, wonderful. And you're a new mother. We didn't talk about that. So how's the baby? How's the baby doing?
He's great. His name's Jasper. He's 3.5 months old, and not for nothing. I mean, I'll just quickly share my journey. My husband and I were like thinking about, it wasn't a surprise, but we were like, maybe we should, get on this baby train thing. I got pregnant and I miscarried like a year ago or so. And then I got pregnant a few months later, and that was a little bit of a surprise. Like it wasn't, we wanted to give ourselves maybe a little bit more time to just replenish the soil. And I'm only sharing that because I was 39, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, I have no time left. I'm so old. And I got pregnant twice, like kind of by accident, kind of like our first try. And I'm only sharing that because I think that I really attribute that to the years of meditating that I've been doing. And the baby's doing great. Postpartum was honestly very challenging, but every day gets easier and every day is more of a delight. And he's really coming online, and just to see him smile and to see him laugh is such a gift. Yeah, it's such a gift. I'm very, very grateful.
And I'm sure you had a close connection with him before he even showed up, right?
Yes, actually, and maybe this is helpful too. In 2009, I went to India. That's my first time I went to India. I just learned to meditate, and I was like, whoa. And when I got to India, the big, big thing that came for me was like baby, 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 baby. And I wasn't even in a relationship at the time. And I was like, okay. And there was this full moon, and we did this full moon ceremony. And I remember talking to one of my teachers there, and he said, you meditate and then talk to your baby, like, have a conversation, ask the baby who its father is, ask the baby when it wants to come. And that was like almost 10 years before I had the baby, so, and I wasn't like on this single mission the whole time, but it was really loud when I was in India, and then the voice got quieter. But I had actually hilariously just met my husband before I had gone to India, but we didn't start dating until like 2 years later. So anyway, I just feel like I'm only sharing that to illustrate that it's not like A plus B equals C. It rarely is the path like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just, we have the download, we make the request, we live our lives, things happen, we have miscarriages, we break up, we come back together. And all the while, if we're trusting that nature knows what's up, if we're trusting that nature has more information than we do, then we're gonna be enjoying the whole journey and not under the I'll be happy when syndrome. I think this gets dangerous if we think that our happiness lies on the other side of having a child, because that's too much pressure to put on any human. We have to make ourselves happy now. We have to fill ourselves up from the source now. And then the souls are like, oh, I want to be born into that household. And so it really is an exercise in surrender, detachment, letting go, trust. And I know that those are all easy words to say and much harder things to practice. But if you're doing the discipline of meditating every day, I just find that surrender and trust and flow starts to seep into every area of your life.
Yes, I love that. We just had 2 calls about I'll be happy when. So I love that. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining us in your time. And, the group and I mean, I'll let you know if anybody has questions. I'm sure they will, but I can't recommend your easy, kid-friendly meditation course enough to subtly but powerfully change your life. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your passion and your enthusiasm and the work that you're doing. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I hope to make the next seat. When is the next seat alive?
So Ziva Live is happening this week, so November 11th, oh, no, sorry, October 11th to the 14th, and then there's one in November and one in December.
Oh,
So
good. Once a month.
Live once a month, and the way that works is that it's 2 hours a day for 4 days.
Hmm.
And you receive your own personalized mantra. There's a beautiful ceremony at the beginning. And I'm teaching actually in LA right around Halloween. So those of folks who are on the West Coast, that'll be October 29th, 30th, and 31st. Yeah. And then I'm going on book tour January, February, and then we'll be back at it in March.
Amazing. So if you want the live course, you got to get it in before as soon. But do you recommend they do the online first and then the live? That's how I kind of looked at it.
I think that is a great trajectory for most folks because the online course is a little bit gentler than the in-person, and you can do it anywhere, anytime. And like you said, it's only like about 15 minutes a day for 15 days.
Right.
It's very accessible, and it sort of goes in and helps the body to unstress, to peel away those outside layers of stress. And then when they come and learn in person, which is a bit more powerful, that detox process isn't quite as intense. And then you can really deepen your practice and take things to the next level, which is nice.
Yeah, that's what I could tell from, you know, the online courses is a great foundation, but if it sounds like the live is a little bit of a step up.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And yeah, my detox, by the way, is I felt so nauseous through some of the early meditations.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes had a robe on, so I was like loosening the robe, and I was like, the robe's off. Like, it's not your robe, Tasha. You know, like the robe is out, and I'm like, oh, it feels so tight. Oh my gosh. So
yeah,
like I said, that wasn't so subtle, but that was quick. Like that was a quick.
Normally that's the first few days, and that's that acid that floods into our body. Like in the beginning when we get stressed, that's that acid leaving the body. So it's not enjoyable sometimes, but it's like the theme song is better out than in. We don't want that acid in the body.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. So cool. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Emily. I'll let you know if we have any questions, but I will put the link to your book and the course in all this material. And so excited for you and all that you're doing, because it's super amazing and powerful. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's really lovely to be connected to your tribe.
Right, bye. Bye.